Hello and welcome back to Satisfactory. My name is Volcata, and today we're going to, I think we're going to just kind of stand here for a moment and enjoy the beauty that is our open, clean yard. It only took us, what, 19 episodes to clean it up? It is looking pretty, right? All the buildings are tucked away in kind of a nice little complex. It can be quite nice. I'm so very happy with this. And it's nice just having this open yard that we may or may not put stuff in the future. But I just wanted to take a moment to, I stand here between episodes sometimes, think about what I'm doing. And I caught myself just standing here and looking at this, and it just kind of reflects the work that we've done. That we had so much temporary space taken up in here. And now that it's cleared, it doesn't look like it's as much space as it was. But, all right. Well, all right, enough of that. We got stuff to do today. So today we are going to make our first proper manufacturing building. We've been setting some groundwork up, and we got our warehouse up and running now that we can actually belt things from and to. Because manufacturers take 3 and 4 inputs, and when you start getting up to that scale, you need to be able to get product in and out. And having the warehouse is the organizational mechanic that we needed to leverage. And so that's what we're going to start with today, is getting ourselves some manufacturers up and running and kind of start drawing out we'll call it a manufacturing district that won't just be manufacturers, but that's what we'll primarily be focused on for now. Also, between episodes, I went and I got that last hard drive, the one that takes rubber. So I'm going to toss it in there as well. And let's head over to the future manufacturing area, and we'll go over what's going to have to be done, because it's going to be a major, major renovation project. All right, here we are back at the warehouse. Well, this really was quite an undertaking. Whew. One of these days I might actually grab that slug. So the general plan today is to kind of turn this area into the starting of a mega complex. And unfortunately, that means we're probably going to lose some trees in the process. But ultimately, we need lots of space because manufacturers are huge, and there's going to be a lot of belting involved. A lot of the manufacturers require up to 4 products, and that means products coming out of the warehouse and often finished products going back into the warehouse. And the warehouse it's pretty dense, right? The machines or the storages are really tightly packed in, and so every window row is another product. And so we're going to have some challenges when it comes to bringing all the belts out, not having them collide with each other, and them then being able to switch positions as appropriate for whatever it is that we're going to manufacture. So this is really going to be a challenge, and we need lots of space for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start laying out foundation across this entire area. We're basically going to pave over the whole thing. Again, I'll probably leave a few trees in place, but they might get cut down when the actual buildings start to go up. And also, this needs to go. Unfortunately, the space elevator is on prime real estate, and it's just got to move. So this is going to go. We're going to move it over there somewhere in the distance. I scouted out an area, so I already know where I'm going to move it to, but it's going to go. As you can see, I've put some tubing in, so I got tired of running around between episodes. Also, before we tear this down, or maybe while we tear it down, I want to point out that our next step on the space elevator, we can start preparing for this. So we already completed this a long time ago, and this is going to require 500 modular engines, which take 2 of the, where are they, the plates. The one on the right, I can't click on it because it'll go off the screen. 2 of the plates per, so we need 1,000 plates. to be able to even manufacture those. And we already had these assemblers all set up here anyway. So I've gone ahead and switched it over. Here we are, smart plating. And it's one for each. So it's just 1,000 reinforced plate, 1,000 rotors. I've already got those put in the storages. They're ready to go. And I just have it running up to a storage block. So this is going to start running while I'm going through and drawing out all the foundations we're going to have. And again, we're going to just pretty much just pave over the whole area so that we have a good idea of how much space we have to work with, how much we can kind of space out the buildings, and where we can go from there. You know, where we're going to run into obstacles like the giant spines that we can't get around and these big old rocks. So we kind of determine, you know, how much space that we can have at a certain height, and then probably, you know, ramp down a bit and then do another big old flat area. I don't really want to have this to be one giant flat area that, you know, eventually ends up way out in the sky. But we'll see how it goes. And we're going to want to have, I'm going to say probably at least 4 blocks out of dead space. We're going to say this is a minimum of dead space from the warehouse. Because again, we're going to need room to be able to bring belts out and be able to run them up and down like the alleyways and in and out of buildings. And we don't want to build big permanent buildings and then find ourselves not having enough space. So we'll probably go with about 4, and then we'll start there as, you know, kind of where we start placing buildings. So let's get to cleaning all this up, moving that, and just kind of, you know, planning out where our building's going to be, because I want to get going with making the heavy modular frames in this episode. All right. Well, we got a lot of space to work with. At least it feels like it's a lot of space now, but you know, it'll go quick with the size of these buildings. But I've, you know, gone ahead and flattened out the terrain as much as I reasonably can. And this is kind of a guideline. It's not baked in, right? So we wanted to go right with these first 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to make this kind of a no-go zone for buildings, just so that we have more room for belts in the future. But when we go beyond that, we look at kind of where we're going to start placing buildings. And again, I kind of want to do similar to what we did in the steel area, where it's kind of a complex of buildings. And things like, you know, manufactured buildings aren't going to be just 4 wide. So this is not going to be enough. But that's fine. I basically just wanted to kind of get a feel for the terrain, you know, where it comes up too high for, you know, the next area. So like I went out a certain amount, and then I went down a bit, and then I drew across, and I saw that I was running into terrain, so I brought it up a little bit, and then pushed over, and just rinse and repeat. And this gives us a good working basis. Now, what we'll probably end up doing is, you know, taking these out and moving them up a tier so that we can fit, you know, a larger building up there. But we also might leave them down here because, you know, we can start buildings on a lower level depending on what kind of building we're looking to do. And we can build it up. And, you know, belts could enter from a top level with machines down here. So, you know, we can have buildings that are up against a break. And I think that'll look pretty good because you'll have buildings rising up out of it, and then we'll have down ramps that come down to their bottom floor. And I think that's got a lot of potential. Plus, if we have these little overhangs, then we can have like an alley to walk behind the building. So it's going to be a versatile area to work with. First thing we need to do, though, is draw out the space that we're going to need for our manufacturers. And we're going to do it kind of going over here a bit. You can see I squeezed all this over. All this can go. It's just sinking the overflow. But right now it's right up against the edge, so we probably wouldn't want to build any buildings here anyway. But this would be a decent area to run belting through if we want to go around beside buildings. You know, if we need to go down, or if we're bringing new products back up to maybe up to the highway. So we want to keep clearance off to the sides. So this stuff, it's kind of a placeholder anyway that we can use the space for other things. So they're not in the way technically. But we want to get some manufacturers, kind of get an idea for the kind of space that we're going to need. And these trees are going to go. They're going to go. I wanted to get a basic draw out here. So if we do something like this, just drop it here. And we want to plan for 4 belts, even if the particular product that we're doing doesn't have 4 belts. It's a good idea to pre-plan for it. Because, you know, we might make something else. These buildings are going to be designed to house manufacturers. So we might have more than one type of manufacturer running in the area at any given time. And so if the buildings are predefined for that, you know, those kinds of dimensions, actually I should do this. And so we're just going to do a rough drawing of how the belts might come out. Right? Well, it would help if we it would help if we line this up properly. It would also help if we put a splitter. Not that it matters, because again, this is just going to be temporary. But let's do it anyway. Something like this. That look good? Nope, because we wouldn't be able to run a belt across like that. So it would be, let's get it right on the line there. Yeah, that looks good. And we know that we should be able to kind of go over the belts like we have in some of the past ones. Something like that. And then that would carry on to the next machine over there. Then we need, let's just grab a wall. Something like that. And we'll probably go with my favorite design, which is the glass foundations. And a couple more splitters. Something that lines up here. Probably overhanging there. That's looking a little awkward, right? It's a little far over. That's okay. We want to make sure that we wouldn't impede with the wall here. And in fact, we probably want to bring it up a little bit closer, because I don't want the belt to come out and hit the floor. That's okay. Like if it's clipping just a tiny bit, the belt's sitting on the floor. That's fine. So this would be an option for, actually that worked out pretty well, didn't it? An option for doing the 4 belts. That really worked. I think we nailed it. I think we nailed it. So we'll just put manufacturers along this way. We'll line them up somewhere over here and then start drawing them across. Now, these tend to be fairly resource demanding. So we'll probably only run like 2 or 3 manufacturers on a given product for the most part. But we can still stack them across and make room for future expansion, either into that product or other products. And the reason I came down here is there are some trees that we need to get rid of. Now, you've seen before where I've run into some issues with cutting down trees, and trees I didn't want to get cut down going away. In fact, in one episode, I actually reloaded the save and to try to recover it. But I was talking to some people and found there was a way of not having to worry about this, which is that if your inventory is full, Now, I knew that if your inventory is full and you cut things down, you don't get the goods; they just get destroyed. But if your inventory is full and you cut something down, then it only gets the thing that is highlighted. So sure, we lose the wood and whatnot, but you can see we didn't lose any of the big buildings or the big trees. So we can do this safely. Such a nice trick. Now, there's, again, no guarantee that these trees will survive in the long haul. But for now, these little ones, we know for sure these are going away. So we're going to take these out real quick like. Oh, can I get out of the pit? Gotta run all the way over here. Alright, I think that's going to be all we need for just that level. Alright, restack that. Take that out of our hands. Obviously, we need more room for our output. I mean, we could squeeze a merger in there, but it's just not a good idea. And that's going to probably define our space. Our depth, at least, for the first building. And now that we get those trees out of the way, let's see here. You know what? We can leave that. It could be a feature, Let's go across like that, as long as it doesn't get in the way of the machines. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. All right, we want to line up. Okay, so that's on the line. We're gonna go all the way over here. Don't want it to be against the wall. We like to have at least one block's worth of space. Am I too far away to get the line up? I think I am. I'm not seeing it. Oh, there it is. It might be hard for you to see, but there's a little kind of a cyan line that just appeared going to the right. So we're going to drop that right there, see if that's good. I think we could move that over a couple. But we have one over here, so it's really easy to drop another one. There we go. And we can use that as a measuring stick. Alright, so we said probably 2 over. Yeah, that looks good. Alright, we're on it. So we can get rid of those and just start stacking them. At this rate, we're not going to need a time lapse because we're just going to build it right here. So I have done some of the math already, and when it comes to the heavy modular frames, which is what we're getting ready to build, we only have enough materials to run 2 machines. And we are shy of 2 materials. Let's see here. Heavy modular frame. So we are making enough concrete and enough steel pipe, I think, to do more than 2. Let me grab my spreadsheet real quick. All right, let's see if we can bring the spreadsheet up here. Show you my not so pretty spreadsheet that I cobbled together. All right. Now let's see here. This is the references that I use. So we have, for modular frames, regular modular frames, where did I have those? Modular frames right here. We are producing 18 per minute. We are not using any of them. We have 18 per minute left. So 2 of these machines is going to use 15 of the 18. So obviously we can't run 3. And encased industrial beams are using about 9.5 per minute. And we have 24 of those. So 3 of those would be 28 about. So those 2 things we don't have enough of to go up to 3. Now we will probably throw together some machines for making more encased industrial beams because we're going to need them for Mark IV belts. But for now, we're just going to run these 2. And I'll worry about the rest in the future. Alright. So let's get this here. I'm going to see how much I can get away with doing this. Since we started it here without going into a time lapse, I want to see how much I can get away with. You know, lining these up is always a pain. Because sometimes the line is in line with the machine as opposed to the opening. Alright, that's perfect. Alright, excellent. And for this one, there we go. And that one, I don't know that we're using these walls. Just for now, they're there to hold things up. In fact, we don't actually need them to hold things up, do we? Because they can hold themselves up. Although I do want to rotate. There we go. I'll fix those other ones in a minute. It does get a little bit cramped in here, I'll tell you. Alright, we went with the forward and then back one. Oh, this one, I think we might back it up one. Just so it's not hanging over quite so much. Yeah, that looks good. And that should still be enough space for this to pass by. Oh, is that going to be the right one? It's not gonna, I just feel like that's not going to be right. Oh, we got lucky. Nice. Excellent. Alright, let's get this other one set up. Oh, good grief. I was not paying attention to the input for any of these. You know, that's fine, because we don't actually know where they're going to come from. You know, we know they're coming from the building behind us, but, you know, are they going to come from the end? I mean, they probably will come from the end. Most likely they're going to pop in a window and run down here, but sometimes we can get things to line up where we can bring it into the middle and split it outwards in both directions. So that's always pretty convenient. Yeah, I don't... is this going to line up? Let's grab a double window here. No, that's not lining up. See that? But if it were to just by chance line up somewhere... Nope. Alright, it's not going to work. That's fine. So we'll probably just bring it in on the end like that. And run them in this way. So again, we have to flip all these around. Let me do that real quick like. Alright, I got all the splitters going in the right direction now. I also did some other stuff, like, you know, when I started belting them down, I noticed that they were colliding, just kind of visually, didn't look clean. So I pushed these back. Actually, I pushed them back several times until it was a nice, clean belt. You can see now they don't really collide. And yeah, it's all smoothed out now. Oh, let's wait for the autosave. And of course, while I was, you know, doing that, I had to think about other stuff and, you know, like the outputs and how we're going to run those. And I did some more stuff. I didn't do this on camera because, well, I was kind of inventing it as I went along. But this is a lift tower that can carry 9 objects up and translate them into the other side. I think it came out pretty nice. So it was a little bit of a pain to make, but I think it's going to work out great. We'll go over that when we're ready to do our outputs. And there's some other things I want to talk about on the outputs. So I had a couple of options, right? I had the option really of taking the outputs and going out and going left, which was kind of the original plan anyway. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a merger out here. I think we're going to be able to save this tree, which is nice. There we go. It would be helpful if I lined that up properly. You see what I was talking about earlier, where the lines aren't always true because they're lining up to other things. So that's why I typically go like this and I look through it. Okay, that looks better. Alright, so as I was saying, the output had a couple of different options. We could go that way, which is, you know, where the tower ended up. But I also considered taking it this way. And I could have taken it this way, gone across, kind of popped it up to a window on the second floor, like right up here, and then zoomed it across through one of these windows. And that was actually a pretty good option, which I considered. And you see I've started to prep our inputs. But that would have run into another kind of a wrinkle, and I'm going to show you that right now. You'll see there are no products on some of these belts coming out, and that's because some of them are only going to the top window. We're going to fix that right now, and it's going to give me an opportunity to show you something I did between sessions that, you know, are going to make things a little easier for me and illustrate what I talked about on running belts on the interior. So you can see all these belts. They're going to the other end of the warehouse. And everything that's on these belts are things that I need quick access to. So like concrete's on here. This has got reinforced plate. You can tell by when I would disassemble it what I would get from it. This is steel beams. And that is the encased industrial beam. So those and those and those are all belt materials. And of course, concrete for buildings and walls and whatnot. But you can see I just kind of turned around the outputs that were going to the wall and just ran them across and over there, and they're going to the other end of the building. But in this case, I want this to come down to the second window. There we go. And just like that. Yeah, there they are. And the other one was, oh boy, this one right here. I think. Is it? Yeah, because we would see the belt coming down from the second floor. Alright, I think that's it. So, what I was saying is, the reason why I didn't belt the output into one of these windows, because, you know, like, we have ones where we have a bottom window that are open. It's because it would have to go straight across. And as you can see, we're using that height for other belts. So I would have to bring them down to the floor level and across and back up. But we might want to use that floor level for other belts going across at some other point. So for now, I decided why dedicate to that when I could come up with a different solution, which was to merge it with the belt highway, and that's where the lift tower was born. Okay, here we go. Now I have these organized by items we need the most and the items we need the least. So the ones that are on the bottom row are the least. Ones on the top are the most. There's no functional need for that. It's just something I decided to do, just to be organized. Oh, and we're going to need input windows. I also don't think we're going to go with concrete walls. We don't need these. So we'll do that. Put these guys down here. Alright, we're going to want that to go there. We're going to bring this to here. That one there and that one there. Alright. Should go ahead and have the supply line get there at max speed, and they'll slow down once they get inside. Okay. Let's switch these to those, and I think we're going to go with gray and black. So let's set this to standard. I think the walls are going to be gray, and I think our highlights are going to be black. I think that's going to work out pretty well. All right. Let's paint those. Once the building's built, we'll look at the colors and see if they came out all right. If they didn't, then we'll just repaint it. But the reason I'm going with gray and black is because the product that we're making is gray and black. Kind of matching with it. But we need to get the second floor walls in place so that we can actually get our power. Because that's where I always put the power. Put them on the second level normally, just above the belt height. And we will put one right in between the three. Be right here. Let's put it right in the middle of that. Of course, that machine right now over there is not getting fed yet, but that's all right. Whoop. All right, landed right on top. Nice. And we have power. All right. We are now automatically making the heavy, heavy modular beams? Or heavy modular frames. Oh, that's great. Now it would help if I actually line these up properly and set up the output. So let's try that again. All right, let me, I know we're out of time, so let me finish this building up real quick, and let's get back to our house. All right, very quick tour. Here's the cutout for the tree. We managed to save it. Here are the slanted windows. That's the ceiling. Those are the walls. Here's the lights. All right, time to get back to the house because we are out of time. All right, wildly over time. So let's take this real quick. We've talked about rubber. No thanks for concrete. We probably will need more frames. I don't know if we'll use this one, but we'll take it. None of them are great. No time to talk about it. All right, so great episode. Great episode. We got our manufacturing area paved out. Now we have plenty of room to work with. We got our first manufacturing building up and running, which is great. It kind of sets the standard for what we're going to be doing going forward. Kind of helps us define how the belts are going to run. It may change in the future if we find out that doesn't work out, but it's a good place to start, and it's a good guide for the future ones until we do run into a problem. So I'm very happy with the way it came out. I'm glad to finally have some manufacturing items up and running. And of course, that area is going to have a lot of use going forward. We're not just going to do the heavy modular frames. But that is it for today. I hope you liked it, and if you did, click the like button on the way out. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so. And leave a comment if you got anything to say. I'd love to hear from you guys. But thank you so very much for watching, and I'm sorry this is running late, but sometimes that happens. So thanks again for coming out, and I hope to see you in a future episode.